Hi gang, welcome to the channel. My name is Brian, and I did this video before but I wasn't happy with the results, so I'm going to do it again. We're going to talk about the 5 C's. They are things that entail what should be in your emergency bag, whether you call it a bug out bag, a get home bag, doesn't make any difference. It's an emergency bag. So stick with us today on An Old Man in the Woods.
I build a fire.
Okay, so as I said, it doesn't make any difference what you call it. It is an emergency bag. And whether you're bugging out or you're just trying to get home, or you're out on a hike and maybe something happens when you're on the hike, doesn't matter. In either case, it is an emergency bag. Now granted, if you're bugging out, you may not want to be seen. If you're trying to get home in a crisis situation, you may not want to be seen. In those two scenarios, you might want to have a little bit different things in your bag, but it's still going to be an emergency bag. The 5 C's is a term that Dave Canterbury coined to help us remember what should be in our emergency bags. And the 5 C's are cover, cordage, combustion, container, and cutting. Almost forgot it. Most important part of it. Now, let me say this too. In the emergency situation thing, there's a rule of thumb to go by, and that is 2 is 1, 1 is none. And what that means is you should have a double item, or an item that can be used multi-purpose. Okay, now when you're out on your hike or whatever you're doing, you should be carrying some kind of a knife and some kind of fire starter, at least, on your person at all times. Excuse me. I carry my Leatherman all the time, and I usually have some kind of lighter in my pocket, but I also have a lighter on my keychain. That's with me 90% of the time. So having this stuff on my person helps me stay alive even if I lose my bag. Say you're out on a hike, you fall down a hill, the bag goes one way, you go the other way. What are you going to do? Maybe you got a broken ankle, twisted ankle, broken leg, whatever. As long as you got something with you on your person, you'll have a fighting chance. The other thing is, when you're out on a hike, your first line of defense against the elements is what you're wearing, your clothing. Now granted, if it's hot and you're out there in shorts and a tank top and you're hiking along the trail, that's one thing, but you better have some extra clothing in here, because if you fall down a hill, you're going to need something to cover yourself so you don't get hypothermia. You can get hypothermia or hyperthermia very easily, and they're both killers. So let's get into what I carry in my bag. And this bag stays in the Jeep pretty much all the time unless I'm working on it. I change it periodically because the weather changes so much up here in Alaska. Obviously wintertime is different than summertime, although here not very much. First thing, I carry a knife and I have a ferro rod, and on the end of this ferro rod, this is one of those Titan Survivor ferro rods, 6 inches long. It has, I think it's 10 or 12 feet of Titan Survivor cord and a whistle. That's a signaling device. We'll get to that here in a little bit. that stays on here. And usually I have some kind of rubber thing holding it on. Inside my bag, I'm overkilling. Now, like I said, I got the knife here, and I got the fire steel, or the ferro rod. I've also got my lighters, plural, and my Leatherman. So I've got 2 knives, 2 cutting tools. I have my Baco Laplander saw that I keep in here most of the time. So now I have 3 cutting implements. Actually, I have 4, because on the Leatherman, not only do I have a blade, straight blade, I have a serrated blade, and I have, which one is it now? The other one. There's a little saw on here too. Okay, so my cutting implements are covered. And sometimes, especially if I'm out on a day hike, I'll bring my hatchet. If I'm camping overnight for a night or 2, I'll bring my axe. Another story. So cutting is covered. Canister. This is my Stanley Adventurer cook set. Now, it's not much of a container or a canister, but I've got 2 cups here, and this is stainless steel. A lot of you, most of the time, if you're out on a hike, you're going to be drinking water out of a bottle. Whether it's a Smart water bottle, a plastic bottle, an Nalgene, whatever. That's good to a point. You got to have water. However, if you get in a situation where you have to redo your water, for lack of a better term, you got to take water out of the creek or out of the lake or what have you, those aren't going to help you. Yeah, you can have the Sawyer straws, and Sawyer straws and the Life straw and all the other stuff, and the pills, but none of that, the way it's been explained to me now, okay, none of those get rid of everything that's harmful in the water. And I'm talking specifically about virus. They don't get rid of viruses. The only thing that totally gets rid of viruses is boiling your water. Boiling kills everything. So you should have some kind of metal container, whether it's stainless steel, whether it's titanium, whether it's an old tin can. Boil the water. And you don't have to boil it very long, just about a minute. And then everything should be dead in it. Because if you keep boiling it, all you're doing is making steam and you're losing your water. Another container I carry is a dry bag. This is a red-orange dry bag. It'll carry water from the creek or the lake or wherever you get the water to the fire where you're boiling your water. So you can keep your dirty water in here, drink your good water, and then when that's done, put some more water in there. This is also a signaling device. We'll get to that in a bit. That's actually on the other 5 C's. Cordage. Right now, aside from what's on this ferro rod that I have here, this is all I have for cordage. But this is 100 feet of cordage. You don't need 100 feet necessarily. But this is that Titan Survivor cord, and I'll do a video on this later on. This is, for my money, it's better than paracord, because not only is it paracord, but it also has a line of waxed jute twine in there. It has a wire inside, and it has some monofilament fishing line in here. And generally all you're going to need is about maybe 20 feet. But like I say, I have this in here. I have another one of these that I cut up into I think it's 25-foot sections. So, and I keep those doing other things. I might switch them out later on. Excuse me, but for now, I'm covered with my cordage. Cover. This is a poncho, a GI poncho. This can be used for covering yourself, obviously. You can make a tent. You can make a tent-like structure. Something to catch rain. Use it as a tarp. Make a bed out of it. It's a handy item to have. I also, for cover, I have these 50 or 55 gallon drum trash can liners, contractor bags. These, again, poke a hole in the top, put them over you. There's some cover, help you keep warm and dry. You can take and fill these up with pine straw or dried leaves and make a bed. You can do all kinds of things with these things. Again, multi-purpose. And most everybody has seen these. This is one of those grabber blankets. This one happens to be red on one side and silver. This is probably one of the most handy things to have in your emergency bag, because not only can you make a cover or a shelter out of this, this reflects the heat from a fire to help keep you warm. If you wrap yourself up in it, it's going to help keep you warm because it retains your body heat, it reflects your body heat back into you. So, with these three things, I'm definitely covered. And if I'm not mistaken, I have, yeah, thought so. I have another one. So you can cover up, build your reflectors, whatever, and you still have a blanket. This one is camel on the outside, but it's also that silver reflective stuff. Although these are Mylar blankets and pretty much designated for one use, you can still fold them up and use them again if you have to. All right. What am I looking for here? Oh, something else I got for cover. This is a bivvy. You climb in here and you will stay warm and dry to sleep. So I'm covered with that. Let's continue with combustion. As I said, I keep a lighter on me at all times. I have a fire kit here. In the fire kit, I have some birch bark from the Adirondacks of New York State. I have a file, piece of an old file to use as a striker, flint. If I can find a piece of flint or quartz around here. There's very little flint around here. I have char cloth in here, and I have another fire steel with a striker. That's all in my little fire kit that I made. I'm so proud. In one of these videos I'll show you how I make this. And I also have matches, strike anywhere matches in here with a piece of emery paper here. And I made a video on how to do this already. I'll try and leave a link for it up here. Now, that takes care of our 5 C's. These are designed to help you stay alive, stay safe, well, not so much safe, but stay alive for up to 72 hours. And granted, around here, there's so many people that are out all the time, especially probably going to be less than 6 or 8 hours before somebody finds you. Now, what I wanted to tell you is signaling. If you're in an emergency situation and you're hurt, you're injured, you more than likely want to be found. That's where this comes in. That's where this grabber blanket with the red comes in. Okay, that's where the bivvy comes in. These are all, and this bivvy also has a whistle on there. These are all signaling devices to help you get found. Now, if this is a situation where you're bugging out and you don't want to be found, these might not be such a good idea for you, because even this reflects heat and it also reflects light, and it's easier to see in the woods than this when you're hiding out. So I carry tent stakes in here, and the reason I do that, they don't weigh anything, but if you're out in the woods, you're hurt, you're trying to survive, you might be running, time is against you, that's what I'm getting at. Time is against you, so rather than be running around trying to find sticks and carve little tent pegs to hold your tarp or your shelter together, I carry the stakes. 1, 2, 3, done. I don't have to worry about it. So, and here's a spoon. Nice spoon that if I'm cooking something in there, I can get in and chow down with it. So anyway, that's basically the 5 C's of survival. Container, combustion, cordage, cutting, and cover. If you have this stuff in your bag, you should be able to be fine. Also, you don't have to break the bank when you're putting this stuff together. It doesn't have to be top of the line stuff. Although, well, let me say this now. Although your knife, at least one of your knives, should be a high carbon steel knife with a sharp 90-degree spine on there. If you lose your striker of either one, you know, for your ferro rod or the little piece of file that I got in there, you still have something to strike a fire with. High carbon steel does that. Stainless steel does not. It's tough to get a fire started when you're striking stainless steel. Now on my Leatherman, you've seen this in some of the other videos that I do, on the back of my saw, I use that periodically because it is a 90-degree spine on there, but it also must be some kind of high carbon steel because it does throw a good spark. The blade, forget it. So they must have used a different steel on the saw than they did on the blades. So anyway, there you have it. A quick look at the 5 C's of survival. This is designed to keep you alive, help you, I should say, help you stay alive for up to 72 hours. Help should be there by then, with any luck. And if it doesn't, you can still continue on with what you need to do. I hear the raven over there. So with him barking at me, I will say thanks for joining me today. I hope you maybe learned something or got some ideas for your own emergency bag. Thanks to the new people coming in. Thanks for the old guys sticking around. Once again, my name is Brian. I am an old man in the woods. You're like an ex-wife, you're nagging. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.